Hi everybody. I am going to give you guys a pinch pot demonstration. This is an introductory assignment that allows you to learn the understanding properties of how your own pressure and pushing of your hands can start to develop three-dimensional vessel forms. So now that your clay has been taken out of the bag and properly wedged, you're ready to go to start your pinch pot. So again, because this is a very rudimentary beginning level technique, you don't need a lot of tools. So we're going to first start with that wire tool. And right now I've got a ball of clay that is, pretty comparable, nice to be held in hands. This is too much clay for Tbolts, or pinch pot Tbolts is what we're making today. We're going to open that up, and then we now have the two pieces in half. And when we do that, we want to make sure that we go back in and smash that into shape. So what's important to remember about ceramics is that all of the pieces that you make are going to shrink at least about a quarter to 15%. So depending on the clay that you're working with. And the clay that you're working with, you want to expect that if you make something, it's going to shrink about 12 to 15%. So if you make something that's perfect in size in its first little steps, understand that's going to shrink down. So always make your work a little bit bigger, that you'll be happy with the results in the end. So I really like this size of this ball. This one's too big for me, so I'm probably going to make two more little pinch pots out of this guy. But in my hands, as I'm smashing this, I'm using the palm of my hand to get that into a nice rounded shape, okay? And all of the balls of clay that you're not working with, make sure that you have your plastic around and it's available to wrap it up nice and keep it really nice and moist, because the last thing you want is for the outside of your clay to become really hard and then the inside soft, okay? So to start with, we are going to take our thumb. That's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to take our piece of clay and our thumb, and we're just going to pierce into the center of the clay. Very simple, okay? And then from here, and you can see with my hands, I'm going to start to go in a pinching rotation like this. And you can see that with my hand, I'm going like this. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm doing on the inside. And we work our way around, okay? So I'm going to speed it up a little bit in my process. And as I'm working, we want to develop really nice, consistent walls. So when I pinch, my pinch is like this. My pinch is not pulling it outward. Because if we pinch outward, we're going to get a bowl. What we want is for a nice drinking vessel for tea, a nice shawan or tea bowl. And as I work my way around, we want to make those walls thinner as we go. And the same thing goes for the bottom. Okay? So we're going to pinch. And if you set your piece down like I am doing here, you will start to develop a flat bottom. So keep that in mind. If you don't want that flat bottom because you want to do a different kind of base for the piece later, which will be a different demo, don't lay it flat. Work with that piece in your hand as you're working. And you can start to go in a circular motion. And you can see here that my walls are starting to get thin. Right? And as I pinch, I'm only pinching where the clay feels thicker than the rest. So being very cognizant of density, bumps, and about your own pressure. Like if this is the shape that you want, this is the shape I do want, I'm going to work my clay this way. If this isn't the shape I want, I need to rethink how I'm moving my hands. Because if I'm pinching this outward, as you can see it's starting to move out, and I don't want that shape, I need to consciously, with my hand, pull that clay back in. Okay? As we work our way around. So I'm pretty happy with this shape. So this is going to be my first T-bowl shape. And it's not perfect right now. It doesn't need to be perfect right now. And as a beginner, we very often see little imperfections, and we sit there and we rub and push on them. And what happens is the clay starts to warm up, and we start to dry it out because of our body temperature. So if you are noticing that your pieces are drying out because they're getting warm and cracked, you are overworking the clay. So you could tell how fast I made that. You're probably not going to make yours quite so fast, but what you need to do is be careful about not overworking the clay so it cracks on you. So what you want to do is once it's built, you want to set it aside, and the best way to do that is to have a board. So you will have your nice board, which I have here, and if you don't have a board, anything will work at home, something that's flat that you can rest it on. Always make sure you put plastic down first. As you can see here, this is just an old piece of plastic. And then my little T-bowl that I just made, I'm going to rest it upside down. Okay? So let's say that I don't like that shape, or that I want to try a different shape. So again, same technique. I'm going to take my thumb, press it into the inside. But let's say with this one, I want to make it really tall and thin. So with my hand, instead of just pinching like this, I'm going to take the outside of my hand and kind of pull the clay upward. Okay? So I'm going to show you that as I'm doing it. So you guys see how my hand is moving around in that rotation, and I'm pulling that clay upward so that I can get a thinner, taller T-bowl. And I want to also make sure that I get all that clay down in the bottom, because if all that clay down in the bottom is thick, then my walls are uneven, and that's what we want to avoid. We want to have nice, tall walls and thin walls, and the bottoms of our pieces to have nice consistency as well. So with this shape, as you can see, it's getting taller, right? Looking inside, looking from the sides, and it is a different shape than the shape that I previously made. So playing around with different ideas of form is really nice when pinching your clay. So with this one, I want it to be tall, but with a small base, and then I'm starting to arch my way out. And as I'm pinching, I'm making sure to get all those thick areas. Okay? And also with this one, I want to really maintain a nice rounded base. So you can see here, I'm kind of smashing the bottom, but maintaining the inside to thin that out and get that nice round bottom. And again, it's not perfect right now. Today, I'm just making my general form, and then tomorrow, that's where I really got to come in, fix all the imperfections of the piece, and add the feet, which is what holds the form in place so it doesn't tip over. So that's my second little T-bowl. So let's do what not to do when you make a T-bowl. So first off, pushing a hole in, right? And then starting to pinch and work my way around. Okay? So I always like to give my students demos about what to do and what not to do. So remember how I talked about how if you don't want that thing to turn into a bowl, okay, and then all of a sudden you're pinching, this piece is just being pinched on the rim. All of the clay on the bottom is being ignored. That's what we want to avoid. So if you imagine, if you didn't want to destroy it, which I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this in half to show you what I mean in its profile. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So you can see here in the shape that I made that it's really thin and kind of coming out, but the bottom is about 1.25 inches thick. And that is really not what we want. What we want is for all that clay to be pinched at the bottom and pushed into the walls to create a thinner base. Okay? So a consistent thin base is ideal for doing this. So this is step number 1. I will show you step number 2 in my next video on how to create your feet next time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.